guys, today on Welcome Home Custom we are going to learn how to assemble our hot air balloon with acrylic and as a wood quilt. Let's get started. Okay, jumping right in, you will see that you have three different options: rectangle, balloon 3, and single square. Today we will be focusing on single square, but the same rules apply pretty much for all the other files. So when we open it up, you'll see slot sizes, pieces, acrylic, and separated master. Separated master is only going to be used for if you want to resize the piece altogether and make it a big showstopper. All of the pieces are sorted and separate so that you can sort them out and add your own kerf. We're not going to do that today. We're going to go ahead and open up slot sizes first and review that file. I know it looks very overwhelming, but you only need to cut one of these files. The last three numbers correlate to the size of the slot. So as an example, 175 is actually 0.175 inches. If we hop up and ungroup, you can see when I select it, now the height is 0.175 inches. And along with the slot as well, the width is now 0.175 inches. You'll want to make sure that you cut out a wood measurement tool or kerf tool that is located on my website, totally free, just a workaround so that you don't have to figure out your kerf. It's kind of a cheater method, but it totally works. Okay, let's review the colors. If we are using wood, we can ignore this pink line. That is only if we want to make it transparent with acrylic. We also have this blue line at the bottom. This is so that if we want to use a tab, we would ignore it. If we want to cut the tab off and make it a frame piece, then we would go ahead and cut it. We could also then delete the stand as well. So I am going to go ahead and use acrylic. So I am going to go ahead and cut my magenta line. What this does is creates a lip for the acrylic to sit into from the back, using the landscape pieces as the lip, and then the backer has a recessed cutout. Now you'll notice I have a landscape piece along with the basket and additional pieces for the frame. Now I chose to use walnut, and so that my stand, my frame, and part of my landscape pieces really looked nice once I cut out the file. As always, you want to check your 1-inch square to make sure it's 1 by 1 inch. If it is not, go into your vector program's properties and see if you can update the DPI to Illustrator 72. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to open the pieces file. Now you'll notice this one is color coded as well. The landscape pieces are red and gray, and the balloon pieces are orange and magenta. If you choose to use a solid piece of pattern ply acrylic, we could actually just delete these pieces off, but you still will need to cut your red and gray pieces. The last thing that I'll note are the pieces are mirrored except for anything that has a score line. If the numbers are on the piece itself, then you know it's mirrored. If the number is to the side of the piece, then the piece is not mirrored. And you will need to write the number onto the back. Last thing we'll do is go ahead and open the acrylic file. You will want to use clear acrylic for the piece that has no score lines, and then pattern ply acrylic or a colored transparent acrylic for the piece that does have score lines. The other thing that I did was I actually adhere 3M to the front of my clear acrylic to make it easier to assemble. So here's what my backer looks like, scored and cut, ready to go. I have my frames that I'm going to just dry fit along with all of my pieces. This is going to make it easier in the long run. I find you just assemble the quilt and then glue it, and then we can move on to the next part. I did find that after I had all the pieces in place, it was fairly easy to go ahead and clean it up and give it a nice sanding, just to remove any flashback that I may have gotten from cutting in my machine. Next, I'm going to apply blue tape to the front just to hold all of the pieces in place. This makes it really easy to flip the whole project, add glue to the backer, and then flip it back. So next, I'm going to take the backer and I am going to apply it to the back of the design pieces. And then we can flip the whole project right back over and expose our blue tape. At this point, I'm just going to remove the blue tape. It's really not serving that much of a purpose because there is a frame holding everything together. And then I'm going to use a piece of scrap wood to lay on top and then weigh the whole thing down with one of my sandbags. And we'll let this cure for about 30 minutes and move on to the next part. Okay, so since I am using acrylic with this project, I'm going to go ahead and oil my piece now. That way I don't need to worry about the oil getting onto my acrylic. You could spray it with a polyacrylic or something like that. That is totally fine as well. Okay, so the last fun step is adding our clear acrylic to the back. So you can see where the landscape has created a lip for the clear acrylic to adhere to. So I'm taking off first the paper backing, and now I'm going to remove the 3M and I'm going to place it right into that lip area of the piece. And next we are going to take our pattern ply acrylic, remove the backing, and we are going to place it on top, so from the front, and you're going to want to kind of push the two together. So on the flip side, here is what my backer would look like if I wanted to use all wood pieces. Now I am going to paint these pieces, but you can see my backer doesn't have the hole cut out, and that is because we don't need it to be see-through. Now I am going to go ahead and dry fit all my pieces like I did with the acrylic piece. I did decide to leave the balloon out until last, and that's because I thought about doing something a little different with liquid glass, but it didn't go as I had planned, so I ended up having to sand it off, and I just glued the balloon in at the very end. Alright guys, that's it. Hopefully the hot air balloon tutorial helped. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out more tutorials like this. Thanks so much.